how we tackle this situation. This is serious stuff. Okay, let's move on. And this is the point that's made here. For the country to achieve the vision status, it must close the gap to our Vision 2020. I believe in Vision 2020. You don't have a vision, you get nowhere. Alright? I don't care who says it. We must close that gap in the world generation pyramid and then proceed to maintain it. I said this last week at an education conference, and I told them, I asked them what's the purpose of education, and they said it's for building the individual and developing nice interpersonal relationships. And I said, yeah, fine, but how do you eat? I submit that the main goal of education should be, in fact, to close that gap. When that gap closes, or as you're closing it, and you make sure your prosperity is maintained, like you could live and you could eat, then you could talk about, being a nice person and all that stuff. I'm telling you, it's not nice to be somebody who's hungry. Alright? You've got to take care of that first. We proposed, this is the research and innovation group that Prof. King spoke about. Sorry, can I go again? Alright, a diamond of activity. We have a whole structure that's engaged, and anybody who's interested in getting the full paper that was in fact presented at this last news conference in September, you can send an email and I'll send it to you. We'll try and put it online as well. Is that okay, Prof? You don't give away intellectual property? Yeah, we could. Right, good. Alright. Okay, and the basic structure says, look, we've been doing this. We need finance for sure. We don't have a proper venture capital financing mechanism in this country to support innovative work. In fact, I tried it. Lecture Pan tried it. Alright? I went to venture capitalists to fund my work on Electric Pan. We put up 2 demonstrations for them. I put my own money into it, set up everything, got players and everything to show them things was working all right. I think what scared them was when I mentioned ongoing research activity, right? And the fact that it's a venture capital approach, right? It's going to take about 5 years to get the money back. As far as I'm concerned, and I told them this, if I was setting up a roti shop on Independence Square, I'd get the money faster, right? Because they understand a roti shop on Independence Square. They didn't understand this, all right? This is little by the seat of your pants, and living ahead in competition by innovating every single day. All right, so venture capital. You need to develop your education system. Your centers of excellence is where the top of the pyramid is. This is the UB, the UTT, and yes, we recognize in doing this, and we can't do this alone. All the universities, all the centers will have to come together to create intellectual property and create knowledge. There must be a market to test your ideas. There must be small and medium enterprises who will take the ideas and carry it out to the market. So if you like, the centers of excellence that deal with learning and so on, they create knowledge. And then the SMEs, the entrepreneurs, they operate at the lower end, carry that down into the market. You need to have full connection between everything. Somebody has to organize this, knowing what the ultimate objective is. That's where we made a mistake before. We have had universities put down, but the universities put down was great vision. They want to lead the nation forward and bright and prosperous. So alone, you see, right? You have SMEs, there's a business development company available, and my colleagues at BTEC are here and so on, tell them about this all the time. The venture capitalists, we hear about them, I'm sorry, there are no venture capitalist entities in this country. They don't understand it as far as I'm concerned. We don't have the test markets. But we have been putting the right blocks in place because we look at the first world. Oh, they do this, we gotta do this too. But we need to see connection and the flows and the networking at the organization. We've done quite a lot of work on this. And I want to go through this quickly, and so Prof. will forgive me for speaking this because as I try to tell them, people are getting restless, right? So we have developed our mechanism to develop the venture capital side. We believe, and this is where I'm dealing with the stroke, so it's even bigger. The government has to, at this point in time, play a big role in being a venture capitalist. That's a clear role. There are a lot of people who have great ideas outside and there's nowhere to go. There's nothing in this country I can tell somebody whether their ideas are going to make it or not. I mean, it's hard to say, but there might be some sort of risk factors. But also with respect to funding it, there's nothing. So we have in this model one where the government provides R&D grants to the centers of excellence. And they also service a venture capital pool by putting bonds on the market. And these 2 components then will feed the center of excellence. See, research is plenty, man. And you also have to hedge your bets. You have to say, I'm not going there, I'm going here. You have to decide where you're going because you don't have a lot of money to spend on this. We are saying that once you pick the winners, the SMEs start to kick in, they are going to generate returns. Some of that will go back into the venture capital pool. And then part of that, you can probably start talking about stock market because you have to create new companies. Right? I'll say right now, that very early when we started the pan product, we didn't create a company because we knew that's where we were going. Right? I know the IPOs are not out as yet, but that's where we are going. So you have to create this framework first, and the idea here is to build confidence of the private sector in the venture capital approach. And once they start seeing that, wait a minute, we can take this bigger risk, then they will simplify, and they will now play the lead role in building the venture capital pool in Toronto. That's what we see by this point in time. So it's a transition. We're not saying here's the solution. We think the solution is a path. It's a transition that must take place. It must take place if we are to survive and to do this thing just right. So I'm in this thing called Steel Pan Initiatives Project, which came out, I think the Prime Minister gave the story too many times. But basically, I went in, as I said, with an idea. And he had an idea at the same time. So my wife would tell you, right, our Saturday mornings were never quiet, because 6 o'clock in the morning, ring. Right. Because he wants to find out how the product is going. Very, very keen on this project. Because he had some idea about how he could. We did play pan, no pan for me, right, in Jamaica, while he was there. And he had this notion about this kind of pan that basically was as good as we could make it. There are problems with the pan that I'll discuss shortly. So here's how it ties to what I just spoke about. So in this project, government has in fact played the role, almost, of a venture capitalist. They've paid for the research and development component. They knew when I went to them that we're not looking at producing papers, we are looking to change the steel pan industry so that it's much more lucrative, much more viable, and much more active. And that means that we have to get into production. They know that. So they have promised that they will in fact support that. So in fact, well, don't tell him this, unbeknown to him, he's in fact following the model that we presented. Right? Which is why I put so much on this project. It has to work. I see this as a future Toronto Tobago because we are teaching and learning how to innovate. That's what it's about. It's more than pan. Much more than pan. And I would like, even now as we gather our knowledge of how to innovate, that knowledge now spread to other areas outside of pan. That's my aim. So it has invested in to stimulate and re-engineer the local steel pan industry, for sure. And that really is a big injection. Somebody complained about the decreasing numbers at Panorama. An attempt to establish TNT as the undisputed center of the steel pan world. Now understand, people view Toronto as the center of the steel pan world. But when it comes down to business, that can very easily shift. We have to make sure that our position is secure. It's a risky investment, but it is precisely aligned with the model that I just discussed. So, now we've got this stuff I think most people would have come to see, which is a discussion on the business plan. But I want to say that the name of this talk, let me just get this right. I tend to write things and forget what I write. Steel Pan Initiatives Project, a strategic model for the creation of culture and innovation in Toronto Tobago. That's it. Right? I could stop there and walk away. I could go and have a fete downstairs. Alright? Okay, but let's talk about the final thing. Alright? So, I'm saying that when you hear me passionately really talking about innovation, this is what I'm talking about. I do not believe that this country will survive in the next 100 years unless we learn how to commercialize what's in here. Ideas come, you see opportunity, we have to create a path for young people to take those ideas all the way down the road to the point where it can be commercialized. I'm talking dollars and cents, right? All this stuff about nice life and not will come to. Once we keep our heads on to the other problems there, I'm dealing strictly with the issue of making sure that at least we could survive. That's where I'm about. And it really hurt me to see an invention that is as sophisticated as this sitting down for that long. We're lucky. We are lucky that no one else has really and truly taken this and fully integrated on it. Yes, they have their partners in the States and so on. And they've done good work. There are places in the UK and so on. They've done good work. We give it to the world. But you know what? I firmly believe that God has Trinidad. And